Hello and welcome to this video about Python strings for data handling. We are excited to have you here, and in this video you will learn to use strings, which are a fundamental tool to be able to use Python for most types of text-based data handling and texts or descriptions in general. Python strings are commonly used in almost all types of machine learning, data science, model building, data handling, graphics, and report writing. And being good at handling the Python string data type is a sure way of being effective at almost any type of data handling. If you can handle the strings, you are able to handle the rest, and Python strings has many distinct simplicity and functionality advantages over strings in other programming languages. Python strings are therefore very useful and very easy to use. Strings are a fundamental data type in Python, and strings is the main non-numeric data type in terms of what a string represents, which commonly is characters, letters, words, numbers, sentences, paragraphs, books, datetimes, geography, descriptions, paths, or locations in computers or data storage, or structured data can also be defined using string structures. In Python, a string is an array of characters between quotation marks, and a one-character array is also defined as a string in Python. This is very different from other programming languages, which have many types of strings and also defines single characters or letters as a separate data type or construct. As a consequence of Python's definitions of strings, Python strings are immutable sequences, and this means that in practice, every time a string is changed, a completely new string object is created for the new string. So if you have a string, let's say this course is great, and changes the string to this course is the best in the world, then an entirely new string object, this course is the best in the world, is created, and the old string is removed from RAM. And this is an important feature of Python strings to keep in mind when you work with strings, because strings are one of the most commonly used, stored, and created data objects, and also one of the most studied data objects within data science and machine learning. Technically, under the hood, Python creates strings as a set or array of integer numbers representing characters. Exactly how Python strings operations technically is implemented under the hood is a non-guaranteed property of Python. The string operations are guaranteed, but not exactly how they are executed under the hood, or which lower-level programming language is used by Python to create Python strings. When you work with strings in Python, Python will create a string by assigning a set of characters between quotation marks to a variable. Depending on how you work with strings, strings can be efficient or they can be inefficient. Another thing to keep in mind when handling strings is that many Python libraries use their own string definitions. For example, within data handling, you will often encounter NumPy strings and PyArrow or Apache Arrow strings. So let's take a look at how Python creates strings through assignment. And now we'll show you this in a simple fashion with an example on your screen where a string is created. We will simply call the string example string, and the string will be created through assignment by using the sign of equality and the set of characters hello world between two quotation marks. When this line of code is run, the string is created. And this string and all Python strings are considered to be an iterable array. And this means that we can address the string's individual characters as if the string was a Python list or tuple. And we will demonstrate this Python string feature later in this video. And before we start to type code, we will also say that the object type of a string can be checked with the print type string object function. So now we'll type some Python string code, so start up your code editors because we will type some code. All right, having started our code editors, we will type some Python string code, and we will demonstrate a few additional properties of strings. So let's begin with the string hello world example. And we begin to type Python strings. And let's start with creating the example string and print it to screen. So we type example string equals hello world. And we type a string is created using assignment. And we print the example string to screen. So let's run this code using this run button. And the machine typed hello world. And now we will print the object type or class of the string object. So we type print type of example string. And we run this code. And as you can see, it typed class string. Now we'll add two strings together. So we type let's add two strings together to create a new string through assignment. So we type example string 2 equals again. And we type example string 3 equals example string plus example string 2. And we print example string 3. So let's run this code. And as you can see, the machine typed hello world again. And let us edit the output better because string output commonly need a lot of editing. So we type example string 3 equals example string plus white space plus example string 2. And we print example string 3. So let's run this code. And here we can see that the machine typed hello world again. And this looks a bit better than this. And if we want to, we could add a comma. For example, we could we run this code like this, or perhaps more suitable like this. And as you can see, it is very easy to edit strings in Python. So let's take a look at the iterable property of Python strings. We will take a look at the part of a string using a loop. So let's type for x in range of the length of example string 3, print example string 3 like this. So let's run this code. And here we can see that we have printed the letter or character X on each new line. And as you can see here, in the first iteration of this loop, X is 1, and the first letter of the string or character of the string is printed. And on the next iteration of the loop, X is 2, and it prints an E. So let's show some string tricks, and let's turn the output to one line. We create an example string 3a, and we make it empty. So we create an empty string, and we type for x in a range of the length of example string 3. Example string 3a equals example string 3a plus empty space plus example string 3. And in this case, we will print the string which we have created, example string 3, after the loop has finished with its iterations. So we print example string 3a. So let's run this code. And here we can see that we printed our string with added white space, but on one line of the screen. And we can see what happens if we remove this white space. And run the code. And here you can see that it typed hello world again. And as you can see, it is very straightforward to work with Python strings. Let's study this string a bit deeper. We create an example string 4 and we make it an empty string. We create an empty string object and we type for x in range of the length of example string 3. We will create an example string 4, which is equal to example string 4 plus example string 3. And we will print example string 4 plus some white space. And we will run this code. And here we can see that we started with an empty string and we had our loop. And on the first iteration, x became 1. And it took the first letter from example string 3 and made it example string 4. And we added a white space and the length of this string. So here we have counted the length of this string 4, which we have created. And the most interesting thing to see here is that white spaces counts for the computer. So you can't see the white space, but it's there, it has a number, and it counts. So this is important to understand. White space string spaces are string objects. And we can make some changes to the code or in the code. So we type for C in range of the length of example string 3. Print example string 3 C plus 1. And we can add some white space. And we have a string cast length of example string 3. So let's run this code. And as you can see, there are many ways to code similar solutions. So this is two different ways to reach the same result using different, you could say, methods. So all right, let's print the text backwards. Or rather the same text structure backwards. So we type for E in range of the length of example string 3, print example string 3 plus white space plus string length example string 3 and we close the print instruction. So let's run this code. And here you can see that we printed all the text backwards. And as you can see, Python has some very powerful functions to manipulate strings. So what we will do now is that we will take a brief look. Let's take a brief look at the element-based access in strings through the indexing method. So we start by printing example string 3 and we print example string 3 and we run this code, and here we have the string which we will access with the indexing method, and we will make selections from example string 3 using the indexing method. So we create an example string 5, which is equal to example string 3, 1 plus example string 3, and we can take a number 12 there, and example string 3 we can take, and here we will use example string 3 to print the word ear using example string 5 and some selections from example string 3. So here we can see that, for example, we select the first element of example string 3, and the first element is the second element in the array. So E is in position number 1, H is in position 0, L is in position 2, and the second L is in position 3. So 12, it refers to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have an A, and 8, which is an R, is this letter here. So let's run this code. And here you can see that Python strings are easy to handle and easy to use in Python. So right, this has been a fun short video lecture, and we have taught you a lot about Python strings and their fundamental nature, just taught you to master the basics of handling Python strings. In the next video, we will teach you even more. And we look forward to see you in the next video.